Hi, so I'm in my bathroom, so I can't do the tumble quote of the day, and it is kind of noisy outside, so I'm sorry about that. I guess today I wanted to talk about, I don't even know how I'm going to title this video, but I actually filmed this video before up on my rooftop, but I decided to do it again because the lighting was terrible because I did it kind of close to night last night, and so I'm just going to refilm it and just see where it goes because like variables have changed since then. Also, I made like all of these necklaces. Yeah, like all of these. And I made this too. I was Skyping my friend last night, and I made this, and I love it. So you will be seeing this a lot, or maybe these will change, but you know, so. Anyways, I want to talk about a weird experience I had with this girl. I'm gonna call her Ophelia, because one time when we were on acid, she found a flower she liked, and she got the whole plant and called it Ophelia, so it was just... So, Ophelia used to be a really good friend of mine, and I don't know how we kind of became friends. We just kind of, like, just got each other in a way, and, like, even from a distance, when we didn't really know each other, we got each other. Like, that's just how I felt. And I remember last Christmas, me and her dropped acid, and it was my first time, so I did it with her. And we were together for fucking, like, 12 hours and stuff. And finally, like, you know, we were just, and I just remember she was being vulnerable to me, and because I knew she could make me vulnerable, I purposely didn't let her do that to me. Finally, after a while, we went back to her house, and I thought we were coming down when we were together, and I thought we were just feeling this way because that's just how we are together. But I finally was alone for a moment. I took a shower, and I was alone for the first time on my trip, and I felt like I was just as high as ever. And I kept having conversations in my head as if I was talking to her. So when I saw stuff on the walls of the shower, I was like, in my head, I was like, look, Ophelia, look at the patterns. And I was just showering. Like, normally I don't like to shower in other people's homes for that long, but I felt like I spent 20 minutes there. And usually I don't like to shower in other people's, not for like cleanliness or anything, I'm just comfortable in my own shower, but I showered in her place and I sat down and I just like sat under the shower and I closed my eyes. And when I closed my eyes and I opened them, I had this like, I don't know if it was a hallucination or some type of vision that, for example, the shower head was like this way. And I was sitting down, I was just like getting water. And when I opened my eyes, she came from here, completely naked, opened the shower curtain, closed it behind her, and sat down and looked at me and just stared at me. I remember when I thought of that vision, I realized it wasn't true, you know, because she wasn't there naked in front of me. And it wasn't about me looking at her naked or anything. It was just how I thought what she wanted to do to make me vulnerable was get herself naked while I'm naked and be like, hey, I'm vulnerable to you. I'm showing you all my flaws and you're showing me all your flaws. Like talk to me, you know, something like that. Because I knew her for her tactics. That sounds like bad, but I knew her for that, I guess that's how I perceived her. Oh my gosh, she might be watching this, but I don't know. That moment, I remember when I was in the shower, I felt like I was purple, and I looked really skinny. I had stretch marks, I felt like shit, I looked like shit. No, I didn't feel like shit, I mean like my body felt like shit, like I was so dehydrated. I was just tired, I was walking around for hours and stuff. And I still remember that. I remember I told her a couple months later about that, and she kind of just took it as a joke, kind of laughed about it. Which I thought was weird because I thought she would put more meaning to it, but whatever. Anyways, we stopped being friends, and we weren't talking for months. And maybe a month ago, and I was sitting at a park, well, a place near the museum, and I was just sitting on a pole, and then I had my small little suitcase with me, which me and her used to call Bernard the Barnacle because it was just such a pain to carry around when we were hobos, but it had everything we wanted, you know? So I had Bernard the Barnacle with me. I had a paper bag of flowers, I had a Boost, and I was just sitting on the floor smoking a cigarette. And I was waiting for two other friends of mine, and suddenly, because I remember me and Ophelia used to go to that place, and yeah, we would go to that place and suddenly I see this figure from the same angle coming up to me and sitting in front of me, and like sits straight away and stares at me. And I was like, why does this look so familiar? And I thought of that for the first, like, at that moment, I didn't even think about the acid trip and how she was being vulnerable to me in the shower when she really wasn't, but still. But she moved the same way and she reacted the same way. And I remember I was pulling out a cigarette or something and I pulled it out to her. But I remember that I forgot to mention in this filming that, the first thing I recognized about her, one of the first things was she had a sleeve on her wrist, on her left wrist, and that's kind of her takeout wrist, if that makes sense. So I didn't really know how to feel about it. I just kind of, like, I didn't know how to react to it, so. I don't really remember the first thing she said. My heart was beating because I was really scared. I didn't know what I was seeing was true. And she was just like, oh, I read your email, and I was like, I didn't really know what to say. And then I told her, I was like, oh, I have Bernard with me, you know, the suitcase. She's like, oh, are you homeless again or something like that? And I was like, no. She just kind of stared, and I'm trying to remember what we were talking about. It was very brief. It was very like a what the fuck moment, you know? Like I didn't know if I was high, I didn't know if I was sober. And then two of my friends came, and then he was like, they were like, oh hey, and I was like, oh, could you just give me 5 minutes? And then Ophelia just like shoots right up, and she's like, no, it's okay, I'll go. And it was weird. But she, you know, turned around when she started walking and she's like, thanks. And when she said thanks, I thought she was saying like, thanks for fucking up my life so that I can be this new person or something like that. But I think she was, and then she said, thanks for the cigarette. And I think deep inside I wanted her to say thanks for something else, but she clarified by saying for the cigarette, so, you know. But then she walked away and I just yelled at her. I was like, stay safe! And it was weird because we weren't cool before that. We had no contact before that besides I sent the email, just like an email. It was just because my camera has a setting that I found out now, which I'm going to be using more often. Like before you take a photo, it saves like a couple seconds of a video before you take that photo. And that mode was on the second or third time we dropped acid, and so when we took like 200 fucking photos, so we just had so many videos, and my camera instantly puts all those videos together into one video. I just instantly uploaded it and I sent it to her, and was just like, you know, because I thought she would want to see it. And that was a weird moment. It was like actually really, really weird because, I remember she asked me, she's like, oh, didn't you see me when I didn't? But I mean, I could talk about last night, but I don't really want to. But the thing about me and her is that we're just weirdly connected. I know this is I know that's weird, but it's like, I feel like we just kind of, when we became friends, it sort of made sense in the way we think we're pretty similar. And that's why we clash so much, but that's also why we get along so much sometimes. I don't know, that's why there's always gonna be like a kind of soft spot for her. I hate swallowing my pride and saying like, yeah, I got a soft spot for someone, but I guess I got that soft spot for Ophelia, you know, but what can you do? But I don't know if I should be saying this, but I remember one time when we kissed, I felt like it was so wrong, only because I thought I was kissing myself. Okay, I really shouldn't have said that. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go.